I've trusted no one. Treachery is the inevitable result of all affairs. Every man believes he has his own good reason. I have little doubt of my son's disloyalty to me. Certainly he led Mulder and Scully to us. His mother must know by now her central role in the grand plan. That she's as much alien as human. Do you wonder why I've chosen you? You've never betrayed me. Now I need someone to trust.
Hello and welcome to Most Unwanted, an X-Files podcast. I'm Luke and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host Daniel Jeckley.
Virtually joined by Daniel Jeckley. How are you doing, Luke? You alright?
I'm not too bad, actually. Do you know what? I haven't commented before. Your mic setup actually sounds really good. Like, it sounds... it's quite clear.
Clear and clarity. Well, you know what? I mean, I'd like to say I've spent the money and on the top of the range mic, but I haven't. It's just a headset. It's just call it in. But you know, if it works, it works, and that's all that matters.
Look at us investing in the podcast, eh?
Yeah, we invested once. I ain't doing it twice. How are you anyway? I know you've been under the weather.
Yeah, I am much better now. I literally cannot put my finger on what caused it. I went away for the weekend, came back, and then literally about 10 o'clock that night, keeping it clean, all hell broke loose. But yeah, it was not. It wasn't the best. It's the most sick, intensely sick I've felt come on so quickly. You know what I mean? Like in a long time. But I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's something I ate, or I don't know if it was just being active all weekend.
Maybe it was a little bug mixed with being tired. I don't know.
I'm just very glad that it came on after the 3-hour drive back from London, because I can't imagine anything worse.
For sure. You text me the morning that we was due to record, saying just the usual sorry dude, we're gonna have to postpone. I'm really ill, and I thought to myself, oh, I mean that's fine. I mean maybe we can work around it. Maybe there's something we can do, because it's probably just a Monster of the Week episode anyway. And then I was like, oh, I watched the episode. I was like, there's no way we're doing this today. We got to save this one.
No, it's I mean, after watching it, this is kind of changing it's at least opening up everything for what we know.
This is low key one of the most important episodes of X-Files we've seen so far.
Yeah, there's a lot sort of shown, not told, you know what I mean, in this one.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get straight into it. So this week we are looking at episode 11 of series 6, entitled Two Fathers. It was directed by Kim Manners, written by Chris Carter and Frank Spotnitz, and the original air date was February the 7th, 1999. So
the team back at it.
Yeah. I would say it's the core writing team now, isn't it? Chris Carter and Frank Spotnitz for the mythos anyway. I'd say, especially
with this season. This season we've largely praised for how much we've enjoyed it. But one thing I will say is it has been pretty lore-free. We've not really had any. Not that I can remember anyway. There might have been a few mentions, but there's not been many Mythos episodes, has there?
There's been a few ties into the Mythos, that Dreamland is kind of tying into the Mythos, but ultimately that kind of is a Monster of the Week as well, you know what I mean? It's a self-contained story itself, but this one is out-and-out mythology.
Yeah.
So, I was paranoid when I started it, double checking the notes and what I was watching to make sure I was definitely watching the right episode this time. Disney Plus is going to have me doing this every episode now.
Yeah, they've one mistake and they've scarred you for life.
Honestly, I can't trust them because like I can't get 5 minutes into an episode and go, wait a tick. Anyway, we start and we're in Arlington, Virginia, and we're in this like kind of rail yard. We kind of recognize the setup. It looks kind of like the previous sort of rail yard experiment places that we've seen in a few episodes. And we see these...
Isn't good. They bloody love trains.
They do. They like trains.
Love trains. Oh, do you reckon they're just like big train fans? Because they could have had underground bunkers, surely.
Maybe.
But they want trains.
Maybe they have to keep things moving. And they're like, oh no, we need to move it somewhere else.
That's all well and good, but like, for what reason? Like, to avoid detection? Because you know what? If that train's going that way, I'm pretty sure which direction I know it's going to go.
I'll just keep following it.
There's one track, you know what I mean?
It's not like a helicopter or something like that. It could just veer off course, yeah.
I just love trains. And who doesn't? Who doesn't love a good train?
Trains are cool. They are cool. Yeah. But we see some doctors performing an operation on this train on some unknown person. And they sort of have green blood. And we notice as well when they're cut, they instantly heal up. We see a Eugene Openshaw. He arrives and these doctors tell him that his work is a success. He also says, we're all going out to celebrate, which made me laugh. It's like, oh, even evil doctors need to let off some steam. They all leave and they're attacked by what we've seen before, these sort of alien... Well, they name them in this as alien rebels, and they're like the faceless rebels.
Yeah.
And they have their sort of burning stick. I don't know what the word is for it, but burning stick is...
Burning stick is very accurate.
Yeah.
Visually, it's spot on, to be honest.
Pretty much. Does what it says on the tin. But yeah, they sort of incinerate all of these doctors, and then they go inside, and we see the person that they're operating on is Cassandra Spender. Gotta be honest, I didn't know who this was when I first saw it.
Thank God. Right, I need to have a chat with you about this. We are an X-Files podcast, right? Hopefully we're going to be experts on this one day. We're looking into each episode in a thorough manner. I had no idea who this was at the start. I knew I was supposed to recognise her because the way the camera worked.
The music cue straight away gave me a hint.
Yeah, I was like, I've got no idea. I want to know, and this is the thing, we're watching it quicker than most people. There's not like a year in between seasons for us. Mm-hmm. Did anyone else pick this up? Like, this is what I want to know. I want to know from our listeners, for those who watched it as it aired, did everyone pick up that this was Cassandra? Because was I supposed to pick up? Like, and there's a lot of moments like this in X-Files where there's like this big reveal and it's like a character that we've spent maybe 10 minutes with or in total. Like Cassandra, she was in that the season finale of last season, wasn't she?
Yeah.
I think it may have been a double bill actually. But screen time wise, 10 minutes, maybe 15.
Yeah, she's not had long, and we've not seen her in a long time, like, to be honest.
So I had no idea, and I was just like, I knew it was so frustrating because I knew I was supposed to recognize it, and it made me feel so bad because I'm like, I'm reviewing this. I can't figure this out. What hope do I have if I can't remember the bloody character? Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
I'll be honest. I had Wikipedia up at that exact moment, looking who it was, and it was like, and it's Cassandra Spender. I was like, of course it is. But I was like, yeah, if I was left to my own devices, if I was in the 90s, I'd be like, who's this again?
You know when I realised when Spender said, "Mom." I was like, oh, yes!
I know who she is now. Well, yeah, let us know if anybody else out there was also confused. Maybe not at this point, but initially.
Just in general, because there is a few times where they do this, where, I mean, people are going to get so fed up with us talking about Lost. And I do apologise, but it's one of our favourite shows. And the thing is with Lost, there's so many mysteries. But the thing is, you spend a whole season with let's just say the Hatch, for example. You spend the whole season, what's the Hatch, just building it up, and then the next season, when there's like more hatches found, you're like, oh, it's the Hatch, oh my god. The amount of times in X-Files where they will mention someone in passing, or someone will show up, pop their head round the door of the office and go, hello, my name is Mr. Smith, and then go out.
I love that scene, to be fair.
And then, yeah, that is a great scene. We've said how much we love that scene. But then 2 years later, they'll be like, oh, you'll never guess who it is, Mr. Smith. And I'm just sat there going, what? Who's Mr. Smith? Have I missed something? You know, and it makes me feel bad. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I don't pay enough attention.
Maybe. I don't know. I wonder with this as well, like how much back in the day stuff was repeated. You know what I mean? Like these days, you kind of just watch something once and stuff. Where I wonder with X-Files, like it had that kind of like, what's it called, syndication in it, where it like gets repeated a load. I wonder if that...
In fact, that actually leads me on to an interesting question. Obviously we don't have this watching Disney, but when X-Files originally aired, did they have a previously on X-Files?
I wonder if they have it for some episodes, didn't they?
They do some episodes, so maybe they don't normally. Which, again, if I had a previously on X-Files, that would make things so much easier.
I used to love the previously on Lost, because if they showed you a scene from like 2 series ago from a character you've not seen, you'd be like, oh, they're going to be in this one there.
Yeah, maybe it ruins it. Maybe
the game away.
Maybe the confusion is part of the enjoyment of the show.
Maybe. To be fair, it's very on point with the themes of the program.
And don't get me wrong, I can't complain at X-Files because it's not like they take too long before they explain it outright to me. And I literally need Spender going, that's my mom.
Well, I mean, you get a lot of explanations in this episode, so if there's ever an episode that's going to clue you in on what's been going on so far, then this episode will be it. So yeah, we get this scene, we get into the intro. What do you think, actually, of the opening scene?
I enjoyed it. I was looking forward to sort of getting to know a little bit more of the lore, a little bit more of like what's going on around it. I didn't expect how much we got. Mm-hmm. Like this, literally, I feel like someone somewhere in a meeting was like, "We need to start explaining exactly and giving names to things." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we got a lot of names.
We've got a lot of names, and we've kind of known the names via like just coming across them. Like if we search a character's information, or like, you know, search a character's name on Wikipedia or whatever, or IMDb, it usually says, oh, part of the syndicate or something like that. Mm-hmm. So we've kind of picked it up over the time.
Yeah.
But never really expressly mentioned some of these names. And now we've got names for everything. Now we know what's going on, and which is going to be very interesting. Really looking forward to the rest of the episode at this point.
So then we go to a sort of a dark office. We never really find out what this is, this office, or where they are. But anyway, we see that the cigarette smoke man is in there, and he's explaining to somebody off camera that we don't see, basically the entire plot. He's telling everybody about the syndicate and what their plans are. This like planned colonization of the Earth. He literally just explains everything at this point of what's been going on up to this point.
Yeah.
And
it's quite funny because I watched this with Jem, and as we was watching it, all I could think of in my head was, Krychek's doing a lot of the work on his own. Where's Fowley? We've not seen Fowley in a long time. No, not Krychek, sorry. Spender. Spender's doing a lot of work on his own. He seems to be single-handedly running the X-Files. Where's Fowley? She should be here. Lo and behold, behind the camera secret.
Yeah.
Don't know why we've known she's in an X-Files. Like, where's Fowley been?
Well, she's been in the background. That's what she's been doing. Yeah. Also in this scene, cigarette smoking man sort of hints that their project has fallen apart and that his son's betrayed him. So this kind of feels like it's setting up something for the end of the episode, or even the next episode, if he's saying the project's fallen apart. We don't even get that explained in this one. We then cut to the X-Files office, and we see Spender is sort of working away. Well, sort of not really working, as Skinner puts to him in a few
Working
seconds.
hard or hardly working. That's basically what Skinner says.
Basically, yeah. I mean, aggressively says that, but you know what I mean? Skinner pays him a visit and basically says that he's hindering the X-Files by not making any progress because this is the first progress report he's ever logged or something like that.
How is he getting away with this?
Well, some people do this in offices. They can sort of just hide away.
You know what? I cannot blame Spender after this scene because I'm just like, imagine just getting given that job. You know what? Just go. We're going to pay you. Just go and sit down in the office. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, don't do anything.
And if your manager gets annoyed, don't worry about it. We got you covered.
Yeah, well,
like it's a great job. I don't blame him.
Easy money.
Yeah, he could use the time in the office on a side hustle, get a little bit of extra money in. You know what I mean? Like, why not?
Well, maybe he will. He's going to have a side hustle by the end of this. I can see it coming. But
what's the side hustle be?
Drug dealer, I don't know.
I'm like maybe making yo-yos or something like that. A drug dealer, okay.
I'd be easy in the FBI, I suppose. You know everything about what's going on in the drug network, I suppose.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Right. I think the risk's a little higher for you, though.
I found out a drug fact the other day that blew my mind. Apparently, this is completely off tangent, but while we're talking about drug dealing,
yeah.
Do you know that in South America, there's certain drug dealers that build their own submarines to get drugs into the in different countries, and they actually just submarine it in. I was like, how do they do this?
Yeah, it's impressive. You can't deny that it is impressive.
You gotta
shout out to the drug dealers out there.
Gotta respect game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, game respects game. Exactly. We started the podcast. They built a submarine. It's make that tomato. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Same thing. We both supply what people want. That seems liable.
But ultimately, we're bad for.
Yeah, that seems liable. I'd like to go on record and say that was a joke. Okay. Anyway.
Not many people want most of
us. Let's move on before we say anything else incriminating. Skinner says that they found Spender's mother in Virginia, and she's the sole survivor of this arson attack that we've just seen. So they immediately go to the rail yard. I thought it was interesting at this point that we'd not seen Mulder and Scully, and honestly, if they didn't appear in this episode, it wouldn't surprise me, and it shows how big sort of the X-Files has become now that you could potentially get away with an episode that doesn't involve Mulder and Scully.
Yeah, I think this is one of the reasons why I've enjoyed this season so much. I remember a few episodes like back in season 2 and season 3 where we was calling out for a bigger cast. Like we loved Mulder and Scully, we loved Skinner, but that was basically all we had.
Yeah.
And we wanted to see some different agents. I think the first one to break the mold was Critic, and even him was like sporadic, but like it was cool to see someone else in the world and what they was up to in between the scenes.
It feels like a special episode as well when they come into it. I always find when
yeah. And now they got the lone gunman now. They've got like Skinner gets a lot more involved. You've got Spender, you got Foley. It just feels like there's a much bigger cast, and so it's a lot more to dig your teeth into, which is nice.
Yeah. They go to this rail yard, and Spender does find his mother, and she kind of doesn't know who he is initially. Sort of comes around, but then immediately pisses him off by saying that she needs to speak to Mulder, and I get the feeling that Spender has, especially by the end of this episode and what the cigarette smoking man says to him, Spender has some kind of like identity crisis related to Mulder. You know what I mean? Like he feels like an imposter. I feel like
there's a real inferiority complex going on, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Because every time he's on the scene, somebody's like, "Oh, where's Mulder? What's Mulder doing?" And it's always, "What's Mulder doing?" And it
would suck. It would suck.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they're hammering that home. Especially we've had these hints at Mulder being potentially cigarette smoking man's son and stuff like that, and I don't think that's the case, but I've sort of changed my tune on that. but also you do see this like, oh, he'd rather have Mulder as his son and all this stuff, and I feel like that definitely cuts deep. Skinner sort of tries to talk him round into actually speaking to Mulder and says, use all of the stuff that you can get to hand, basically, to investigate this and find out what's happened to your mother. And then we see Mulder in one hell of a scene where he's shooting some hoops. And Scully comes to talk to him.
Hey, homegirl. Word up.
Mulder, it's my distinct impression that you just cheated. And that you're not coming in again today.
Oh, Scully, I got game.
Yeah, you got so much game, I'm wondering if you have any work left in you.
Oh, no, I'm ready to J.O.B., just not on some jag-off shoe-shine tip.
No jag-off shoe-shine tip?
No background checking jag-off shoe-shine tip.
Well, about your J.O.B., Mulder, somebody's been trying very hard to reach you by phone. Somebody who wants you back at the FBI ASAP.
About what?
About an X-file.
And Mulder does, like, the weakest sort of, like, I don't even know, like, slang talk.
I got worried. I'm not gonna lie. I thought, I don't know whether this is okay. I thought this is problematic. I'm not gonna lie. I thought in today's day and age, this doesn't feel okay. I think they maybe just skirt the line enough. I was cringing a little bit.
It did feel. I don't know if it was felt problematic to me, but it definitely felt like your dad trying to be cool. You know what I mean? Just sailing wide on the mark. But so Scully's talking to him, and they're basically sort of joking about how much their job sucks at the moment, essentially. But Scully sort of says that Spender's actually come to see him. So then we go to Mulder's desk. Spender's sat there looking for him. And Mulder just straight up isn't happy to see him. I can't even remember the insult that he gives him, but he's just not happy to... They're not happy to be in each other's presence, basically.
Yeah, and they're both, like... It's interesting to see that, like... I think they really portray the sort of hatred between these two really well, because they both self-sabotage in this scene.
Yeah.
Spender needs Mulder to help with this mystery that he needs to know, he wants to know. And Mulder wants it more than anything else to be back on the X-Files, and both of them walk away with nothing that they want because they're stubborn to sort of meet halfway.
Yeah, exactly. They won't like sort of back down to each other. Yeah. So it's this constant like butting of heads between the two, kind of like brothers. Ooh. Maybe I'm back on board again now.
Ooh. Well, that's interesting. Genuinely, I hadn't thought about that as well, because I know we don't know that for certain. I mean, like that's our theory, isn't it?
There's definitely hints.
There's been points towards it.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I thought I did almost when they like revealed that he was Spender's father. Mm-hmm. I thought that might be like okay, you thought it was this way, but it's actually this way, and that kind of drew a line under the fact that maybe he was Mulder's father. But I do think that's still a possibility, especially because, well, first of all, they've hinted at it quite heavily at certain parts, not for a while, though, I will say. Mm. But secondly, if you look at the monologues from Cigarette Smoking Man in this episode, and a lot of it is like setting up that Spender has betrayed him. I wonder whether, like, if you look back and it, like, maybe at the end of the season, you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't Spender. You know what I mean?
He never actually says Spender. He just says my son or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. Which to me says that they're holding something back. You never know. But that brothers butting heads thing's a very good point. I hadn't thought about that.
I don't think that's what's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. If you know what I mean, like I'd be like, oh yeah, I could see that it wouldn't be like a surprise. You know, like sometimes you get shocks in TV shows and you go, oh, that's shocking, but then you start working out and you go, hang on, that doesn't make sense. Whereas with this, it'd be like, oh, that's a shock, and it makes sense. So but anyway, they sort of he explains the situation with Cassandra, but. Yeah, Mulder isn't interested. I think he sort of mentions it later that he thinks that basically they're trying to set him up. Then we see in a hospital, we see this Openshaw, the doctor, I guess, from earlier, and he's absolutely battered, fire battered,
Yeah.
as I like to call it.
Let's use medical terms on this show.
Yeah. Cigarette Smoking Man comes to visit him, and Openshaw basically explains to him that the Cassandra project, or this human hybrid for work on Cassandra is actually finished now. And he actually mentions, this is the first time he actually starts mentioning the Syndicate and the Rebels and stuff like that we've been using as terms, but this is the first time we actually get them laid out in front of us, that this is what they are. And he basically says that to Cigarette Smoking Man that he needs to kill him to stop people questioning him. So he also says that he needs to kill Cassandra as well, because if it gets out that she's part of this project, the jig is up, basically.
Does he suggest to kill him as well? I know he suggests to kill Cassandra, but I thought Cigarette Smoking Man just killed him of his own volition.
No, I think he definitely is sort of hinting at, I think he says they're going to come and question me soon, so...
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
He doesn't outright say, pop the old machine
up. He's on the same wavelength.
Yeah. He sort of hints at, you need to kill me and Cassandra. And he also has an interesting quote here where, just before he dies, or as he's dying, I think...
A man should never live long enough to see his children or his work destroyed.
Some interesting quotes for this episode, I thought, of stuff like this, that, I feel like they're going to have some kind of deeper meaning in what they're actually doing with them. We go to a guy called Second Elder. Now, I didn't know that was his name. To be honest, I got that from Wikipedia when I was compiling the notes.
I have already, I've mentioned it on this podcast before, and I'll mention it again. I'm not going to remember any of the elders' names. They're all the elders. I don't need to know whether it's well-manicured elder or whether it's a spongy-faced elder
or smart
big
man or whatever. Well, you don't have to
large Adam's apple elder.
You don't have to remember this guy's name for very long anyway. You get but we're with the Second Elder, and he gets a call from Cigarette Smoking Man. And they basically call a meeting of the Syndicate to talk about what's happened. And we hear the door go, and he opens it up, and it's Openshaw, or as I like to call him, Doppelshaw.
That's not even a pun. I don't know. You can't get away with that.
It's close enough. It's got a half rhyme to it, maybe. But anyway, this fake Openshaw... as he's immediately been told, the Second Elder, that this guy's just died, he knows that this guy's fake. And as you do, if you suspect somebody's a fake, rip their face off. That's my first go-to, if I ever think somebody's trying to deceive me. So he does, and we see that this thing is actually a faceless rebel. And... he gets done in, essentially. So Second Elder's done for. So don't worry about the name.
It is interesting how I like the way the Syndicate is portrayed, especially this season and the last two seasons, really, because it's really hit and miss, not in the sort of quality sense, more in sometimes they're portrayed as this sort of all-knowing, very powerful force, and other times they're a group of children that don't really know how to play with the toys they've been given. Do you know what I mean?
They definitely feel like they're making a lot more mistakes this time.
Yeah, and you sort of, especially going from the first few seasons, you start to sort of get the impression that they're not in control of this. They're trying to make the best of a bad situation, I suppose.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see. I like seeing the Syndicate lose control of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we even find out later on that they've sort of had quite a few different offers from this alien group, and then the rebels, and they've sort of just gone, we'll go with this one, but they don't really know. They're kind of on the back foot and just dealing with what's being given them. Yeah, as you mentioned. Yeah. We cut to Mulder at his desk, and we see him looking at photos from this sort of train yard attack. Scully comes to visit him and basically explains about Cassandra, but this is where he Mulder explains about Cassandra, and this is where he explains where he thinks he's been sort of set up for a fall on this one. Scully notices the photos, and she notices that these burnt bodies sort of have the similarities to the attacks that she was at, actually, at the dam and whatnot. And she actually suggests that they should meet Cassandra, but maybe do it in secret, and so it's all off the books, and he can get some truth out of it. So we go to the hospital, and Scully meets with Cassandra, who's very happy to see her. And as Scully preps her to sort of get a wheelchair to take her for a walk, she says, "Oh no, it's fine, I can walk now." And just hops out of bed, Charlie Bucket's granddad style. And she also said she could do with a smoke, which I thought, if you are an alien hybrid that can heal yourself, smoking's a piece of piss, you know what I mean? Like, they ain't gonna worry at all with that stuff.
Would she be able to get drunk, do you reckon?
No, I reckon there's a precedent for this in other stuff, like where superhumans and stuff like that can't get drunk because it metabolizes too quick, or if they heal or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Wolverine. I don't think Wolverine can get drunk and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, no, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, just drinks a lot, but I don't think he touches the sides, basically.
Well, okay. It's good to know. Yeah, I definitely, why not go through all the vices?
She's got 20 just on the go at once. Just like,
I'd be calling my drug dealer in his submarine.
Get him over
Get
here.
over here.
But we live in the Midlands.
Find a way.
Yeah, I'll meet you in Bristol.
He's going to come across the Atlantic in a submarine.
Submarine, isn't it? That's what it's meant to do.
My podcast gets to you.
You figure it out. You figure it out. Anyway. So they go for a walk, and Scully basically leads Cassandra to this kind of sort of storage room where Mulder is sort of hiding in the dark, and Cassandra tells Mulder about this. Basically just drops a load of truth bombs on Mulder at this point. She tells him that the meeting he had with Samantha the previous year or a few years ago, it wasn't actually her, and the actual Samantha is being held by the aliens. She goes on to explain what they're trying to do on the planet, that these aliens are colonizing the Earth, or they're preparing hybrids so they can take over the rest of the planet with this black oil, which she actually names as something called purity.
Which, by this point, I was like, oh my god, we're getting the answers to everything.
Yeah, literally, she's given the entire game away.
Honestly. The good thing about this one, though, is it was a really interesting sort of halfway point, because we knew most of the things she was saying was accurate because of what we've seen.
Yeah.
We could reliably say that, she probably does know what happened to Samantha, and she probably does know that this oil's purity, because we've seen enough of what she said to verify it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't seem to be any lies or any she seemed to know exactly what she was talking about.
Pretty much, yeah. And she's just giving names to the stuff that we've kind of not got names for at the moment. We just have this kind of like I said, black oil. We now know is purity. It's got a proper name.
It's a great name.
Yeah. Very, very eugenics-y, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And Cassandra also says that the people that took her, or one of the people that took her, meaning the syndicate and whatnot, was her ex-husband and Jeffrey's father. So again, they're tying all this together now. We see the syndicate elsewhere having a meeting. And Krychek's going over all these different attacks that have been happening from the rebels on their different railroad kind of experiments. And as he's going through all this, the second elder, or this one's a stretch, Shamekand elder.
Jesus Christ.
I made that one up specifically to annoy you.
Yeah. What elder would you be?
What elder would I be? I think you don't want to be one, because all the problems coming your way, you know what I mean? Second Elder's probably got it the best, actually.
I'm talking about if you was credited, what name would you be given? That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Elderwood, maybe.
Elderwood?
Elderwood. Well, Elder's a wood, isn't he? I don't know. What do you mean? Just like any kind of like short bald man?
Just miscommunication. That's what I was after.
The accurate one.
You would be the short elder, I think.
Short elder. Short bald elder.
Well,
there you go.
Man, yeah. I think that's an accurate description.
Short bald elder. Oh God. Sign I'm turning 30 soon.
Short bald elder. You know what? I remember that name. I remember that.
I feel like I know that guy. I know him. But the second elder starts as Krychek's going through all this. He suggests. Actually, I didn't ask, what would your elder name be?
Probably handsome elder.
Yeah, I thought so.
I couldn't keep a straight face.
As soon as I posed the question, I was like, getting ready for this.
Oh God! I had it locked and ready to go. I locked and loaded. I was ready for it, and then you didn't ask. I was like, God damn!
It's because I knew that was going to be the answer. That's why. Wealthy elder, very clever elder. So the second elder pipes up at this point as they're all talking about these plans, and he says, why don't we just form an alliance with the rebels? They seem to know what they're doing. And Krychek quickly says no to this. He drops a little Star Trek reference here. He says, if resistance is futile then, why would it be not futile now? Which is sort of like a next generation tagline.
Sadly, it's over my head that I didn't pick up on that.
See, I
in my thing
at the time I thought, oh, are they like on the same channel or something? I was like, that would be interesting, but no, they're on completely different channels. I guess it was just they're both popular at the time.
Yeah, and you know what, Star Trek's like universal enough where it's like, I think it's especially when you're in the business of sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you've got free reign to use any of those quotes. I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Krychek starts saying that we should stick to our current plans of trying to create the vaccine, and this is where Cigarette Smoking Man starts looking at Krychek as like he's figured out what's going on here. And he tells Krychek to shut up. Essentially, he kind of doesn't want him discussing all their plans to this imposter. And
Krychek doesn't understand whatsoever.
He's just like, what are you shouting at me, man? Mulder and Scully then are breaking into the X-Files office to get some more evidence. This was at the point where I realised, this is a two-parter, because there's no way they're wrapping this up this quickly. Yeah. And they start finding a file. They start looking for files on Spender, and they find an attached file for a cigarette smoking man. And this is where we learn that cigarette smoking's man. God, I can't speak. Cigarette
smoking's man.
He does the smokings.
You know me, I do the smokings.
Don't even know what accent that is.
It isn't an accent. It's an accent that you made up.
Cigarette smoking man. We find out that his name is CGB Spender. Now, I thought this was hilarious. I keep calling Cigarette Smoking Man CSM all the time. So now I know he's CGB. So different.
Too many acronyms. Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, guys.
Or initialism, should I say.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister, that one is. They're interrupted by Skinner, and he tells them, delete the file, close the computer, and just get out of here quick. And as they start to leave, they're interrupted by Spender, who at this point gets them all suspended, or gets Mulder and Scully suspended anyway. And at this point I thought, just hit him, Mulder, just hit him. What's the, you know what I mean? Like, what we get to lose?
Something to lose.
Didn't have to wait long for Spender to get a slap. We then see Spender talking to Cigarette Smoking Man about what's happened and how he's sort of got Mulder and Scully suspended now, and he's done all of the work he's been tasked with, and he just wants to know the truth at this point. And he basically starts trying to put orders onto his dad, and cigarette smoking man loses his temper and just straight up slaps him across the face.
This was a great scene.
Yeah,
This was really a good scene because, again, so much information here, like between the lines especially, but like the way cigarette smoking man was like, we put you into this position and you've done nothing. You've not done what we tasked you with doing. You've stood by idly despite us putting everything into play for you. And you could see the anger in cigarette smoking man's face. And like slapped him not once but twice. As like and this was great because seeing Spender again, going back to like the way the Syndicate look, Spender has never looked more like a 10-year-old boy than he does here.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely felt like he felt like a boy at this point. And then cigarette smoking man even gets in the killer of a line.
I gave you responsibility. I gave you a position. I gave you the things that you couldn't get yourself, and you can't do the job.
Keeping Fox Mulder down is not a job. It's your dirty work.
You pale to Fox Mulder.
Which feels like a line that's coming out of all the fans' mouths. But
the more we talk about it now with that sort of that thing you said at the beginning about the brothers, the more I'm looking at everything in a different light, because God, like this does set it up. It could possibly be something.
It feels like, oh, you're not as good as your brother, you know what I mean? Or it kind of feels like that. Again, I don't think it will be. I think they're definitely maybe they're just trying to make you think that, but I don't know. There's a lot hinting at it, definitely at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to be careful of not running away with our own theories, and then letting it taint the entire show based on something that we think might happen.
Exactly, yeah. You don't want to get too far into it and think, well, you start like writing the ending for yourself then.
This doesn't make sense because they're brothers. It's like, no, they're not. We've never established that.
It's never been said. We just decided that that's what we wanted. But yeah, anyway. We then see Scully visiting Mulder at the basketball court that he was at earlier, this time on his own, doesn't have any friends, which definitely seems symbolic of him being cast out of the FBI now. Scully says that she's been doing some digging on this CJB Spender, and she's found that CJB Spender is an alias, one of 1,000, she mentions, which is no surprise, really, that Cigarette Smoking Man's name is not actually his name. And she also shows him a picture.
This is so stupid as well, by the way, because it's like, what? He works for the FBI. How does Skinner not know his name? Like, Skinner's like, cigarette smoking man. It's like, what? In every meeting, that's what he calls him. It's so stupid. like Scully walks in, first day of the office. She doesn't know about the X-Files. She doesn't know about, like, this is the first day. She doesn't know about, like, a secret government conspiracy. All she knows is she's been given a task by an FBI director. Not a problem at all. Surely she got introductions. They didn't go, oh, and this is Bill. He's from HR. This is Lucy from accounting. This is Cigarette Smoking Man. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, that's the thing. Especially when everyone's got ID badges. You know, to get in and out.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, how does no one know his name? It doesn't. I don't understand that. Like, don't get me wrong, I fully believe, like, he would use an alias in his sort of, like, figuring, so, like, his FBI name wouldn't be his real name. But then everyone would call him by that name. No one would call him Cigarette Smoking Man, because it's, you know why? Because Cigarette Smoking Man is such a bloody hard thing to say.
Everyone has to shorten it. That's why they keep calling him Cancer Man, and it's like, oh, that's just mean.
Man, yeah, he's just got a vibe.
He's got feelings just because he's like the face.
Do you reckon he was good until like people kept calling him Cancer Man? He's like, God, man, why am I working for these guys? I'm going to the Syndicate. They always call me Elder there.
Yeah, I've got a nice name. They call me Brian.
I would choose Brian over Cancerman. I would.
He kind of looks like a Brian, to be fair. If you said his name was
does.
Brian Spender, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense, actually.
Hey, there's a CGB. Could be Brian.
Craig, Gary, Brian.
That's a strong name. That's a strong name.
That's 3 names, that is. No, but no man needs that many names. That's all I'm going to say.
Craig, Gary, Brian.
Craig. You can't even see it.
Oh, it's just as tough as cigarette smoking, but this is the problem.
Oh, yeah. Cancer Man it is. Anyway.
Like the idea that, like, the season finale is going to be like, I'm going to tell you my real name. It's Craig, Gary, Brian Spender. And then Skinner's going to look at him and go, I'm just going to stick to Cancerman. I'm just going to stick to Cancerman. That's cool.
It's too wordy. It's too wordy. Just drop the GB. Just call yourself Craig.
Just Craig. Sorry, Tolkien. I didn't realise we had to make your full initials and all that bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Did you write a novel? He did actually. He did write a novel, yeah. Yeah.
And he killed JFK. Maybe it's something to do with 3 initials.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe it's the key to this whole X-Files mystery.
We've got him.
Yeah.
Anyway. We went on a tear there.
Smoking, man. It's so... I'm not on board.
Well, CJB, as we're now going to know him as.
Is it CJB or CGB?
CGB, yeah, sorry. CGB.
I say, it's not Craig Jerry, Brian.
Jerry. CG. Every time I say CGB, there's like a venue, isn't there? CBGB's in America. Like, it was an old punk venue. I remember the Ramones used to play there a lot. So every time I see CJB, I always just think of CBGB's. So I'm tempted to just call him that.
That's the name, CBGB's.
CBGB Spender. Rolls off the tongue.
We've got way too long on his name.
To be fair,
X-Files have.
To be fair, it's quite a point of, like, you know, interest that we finally found out his name. So obviously we have to ridicule it.
It's going to be. Do you think CGB is meaningful?
I reckon it will.
The name and go, oh, of course. Because, like, they made a point of doing, like, they didn't have to do CGB. They could have just said any alias. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like this is going to be meaningful in some way. I just don't know how it can be.
Yeah. I don't know. It definitely feels like it's more mysterious than, like, if he was just like, yeah, like, as a joke, we said it, but like his name was like Craig Spender or something like that. It'd be like, oh, shit, yeah, that's his name. Whereas if they're still saying it's like 3 initials, it's like, oh, what does that mean? Like, there's still some mystery to what that means.
I suppose. I mean, I'm not buying it.
Well, we shall see. Maybe we'll find out next episode.
Yeah,
maybe. There's a lot of mysteries left still, but in this sort of like data dump that Scully's found, we also find that there's a picture of Cigarette Smoking Man and Bill Mulder, which we kind of knew already, but I don't know if this is new information to Mulder. That they work together, I guess. It's not really, is it? Because they've sort of explained his mom's.
Yeah, they knew. I think it's more just the fact that they was working together so closely.
Yeah, because it was in the 70s when that sort of syndicate thing.
Mulder's definitely seen a picture of the team.
Yes,
but I don't see a picture of like both of them just sort of so pally.
Yeah, exactly. Then we see Spender meet with Cigarette Smoking Man again, and he apologizes for slapping him. Essentially, he just says that his behavior was uncalled for, which I assume he means the 2 slaps across his chops. And he tells him that he needs to go to visit the second elder and kill him because he's an imposter. And he's basically given him a chance to prove himself as a new job, basically.
Does Spender know that this is his dad?
Yeah, I think he does, yeah, because he does call him son, doesn't he, at one point?
So what does Spender call him?
Don't know. Dad, I guess?
I mean, maybe, yeah, dad.
No, not a dad. He'd be a father person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'd never say dad.
I think it's a papa.
No. It's very formal. Everything's... I can't even see.
Cigarette smoking dad.
Cigarette smoking dad. That'll be on the card. Oh, cigarette smoking dad's pop me. Spender's given a nice pick with which to sort of take out this second elder, but he's not clued in at all, as we find out on what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we also see that he's driven by Krychek to fulfill this mission. So they arrive at the second elder's house. Spender, proving that he's not up to the task, goes in, starts talking, and then goes to give him a letter, drops it on the floor. It might as well have
the most obvious way.
the comedy. Whoops! Better pick that
and, like, with his hand in his pocket the entire time, with, like, obviously holding something.
Yeah. So he drops the letter on the floor. The guy bends down to go pick it up, and very slowly he tries to stab him in the neck. So slowly that the second elder cottons on straight away and grabs him because he's rubbish at being an assassin. So this scene, only as I'm recapping now, I realise how crap Spender is.
He's the worst.
He's terrible. And Spender does, again, what anyone would do if they were trying to defend themselves, is rip their face off straight away, go for the skin. And he pulls his face off, finds that this man has no facial features, and is suitably freaked out by this, as he's been strangled to death. But his hero, Krychek, appears assassin-style behind him, and straight in the neck. He does not mess with.
Krychek comes out of this episode looking really cool.
Yeah,
I think Krychek looked good, man. Yeah. And you know what? I like the idea of Krychek sort of being... I think he says to Spender at this point, like, one day you can be like... It might have been here or before.
Just a bit later, yeah.
Being a great man just like your father and stuff like that. And, like, I like this new Krychek of, like, being on a... like, he's fighting for a cause higher than himself now that he believes. But the great thing about that is, you know he's going to turn on them as soon as it doesn't suit his needs.
Basically, yeah.
You know what I mean? So he can say all he wants that, like, I'm fighting for something bigger than me now. No, you're not. You're fighting for something that suits you now. Sorry, carry on.
No, it suits him for this very moment, and then as soon as something comes better, he's going to turn.
I love this character. I really do enjoy Krychek. We don't see it in my opinion, but then, like you said, it makes it special when you do see him.
I mean, we might as well carry on with the rest of that, because it cuts to something else, but we'll come back to that in a second. But yeah, after this, as Spender's watching this man dissolve into the floor, suitably freaked out, Krychek basically gives him the first time, kid. Like, and he sort of, at this point as well, he drops the bomb that Cigarette Smoking Man's been doing all these experiments on Spender's mom. And yeah, he's, as you said, he sort of says that he's doing something that's bigger than himself, and he's going to be a great man like his dad is. And at this point, Spender storms out and he says, I'm going to be my own great man, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's not an assassin. Yeah, not an assassin, though. That's something he's not going to do. Meanwhile, while this is happening, we'll just cut back to it. Skinner goes to visit Mulder and Scully at Mulder's apartment, and this is when they drop all the information on Spender that his dad is Cigarette Smoking Man. They prove it with all the files and information they've got. And, yeah, Skinner at this moment is shocked that this is his dad, and he starts putting it all together that, you know, there's a big conspiracy trying to keep the X-Files out of what's happening. And they also realise at this moment that Cassandra isn't safe because Spender appointed the guards for her. So Skinner goes to find her. And we cut back to the dark room, and Cigarette Smoking Man is now talking about how his son, again, he doesn't say Spender, he says his son has turned traitor, and now that the Syndicate are completely powerless against these rebels that are coming to attack them, he says that he needs a new ally, and this is where we see who he's speaking to, and it's Diana, is it? Diana Fowley, isn't it? Yeah. I was going to call it Dana Fowley, but that's not right.
That's Scully's name.
Yeah, Diana Fowley. And she's... I mean, to be fair, from the first time that we really saw her, we've constantly been like, something's not right about her.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't know one way or the other. I think she does a really good job of, like, that sort of, like, straight face. Like, I don't know whether she's good or bad. I really don't. Because she's been straight and said, right, I'm with you 100% Syndicate. And she's also said the same thing to Mulder, where she's like, I'm your guy on the inside, and don't worry, I've got you covered. I've got no idea one way or the other, which makes for a very interesting rest of the season. So I'm looking forward to it, figuring out what her ambitions are.
She feels like a very classic, like, femme fatale, like in noir film, like, kind of character, where her motivations and her allegiances you really don't know, and she could double cross any side at this point. Yeah,
for sure.
She's kind of like Critic in that sense that, like, we don't know whose side she is actually on, but in this instance, it looks like she's about to screw over Mulder and Scully.
Yeah. I think the difference between Krycek and Fowley is Fowley looks like she has her own agenda, and she will manipulate and bend anyone. And again, I could be wrong. She might be on one side, but it appears like she's got her own agenda, and whatever that is, she manipulates and uses situations to her own advantage. Whereas Krycek kind of just gets, like, bundled into whatever's happening around him.
Yeah.
And, like, he's like, if it suits him, great. If not, I'm going to run away sans an arm. You know what I mean? Like, he never comes out of it better than he went in.
Yeah.
Although he always ends up, like, elevating his position, which is interesting.
He's the survivor, Krycek is. You know what I mean? He's like kind of like a cockroach. Like, you keep getting stood on so many times.
He is a cockroach. That's exactly right, yeah.
But he just will not go down. We see, back at the hospital, we see Skinner going to find Cassandra. But he finds an empty room. The guards are gone. She's gone. And Spender also arrives, and he wants to know where she is. And then in the final scene, we see Cassandra turn up at Mulder's apartment. And she says that Mulder needs to shoot her because if the Syndicate find her, it all starts, she says. She doesn't explain what, but she says it all starts. So he needs to shoot her. And with this, we see Mulder sort of contemplate it a bit. He raises his weapon, points it at her, and we hear somebody banging on the door as well. We don't know who that is, and we're sort of left with this. I likened it to, do you know, Until Dawn, where it's like you're given two options, where it's like shoot, don't shoot, and it's like, oh, this could be a real twist of an ending. But anyway, we end on that. We don't know if he's going to shoot. We don't know who's at the door. Yeah, we're sort of left on this cliffhanger. What did you think of the episode?
I loved how much information we got. I love the direction this is going to send the rest of the season in. However, I'm going to give my tired old line that everyone's going to get fed up of hearing. I'm going to reserve judgment until next episode. It's a two-parter. It's meant to be viewed as a two. But yeah, I mean, stellar first half of the episode, in my opinion. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm more excited to see where this leads coming out of this.
Yeah.
I think the sort of the consequences and, like, the knock-on effects from this episode, this is a rare instance of them being even more interesting than the episode itself.
Yeah, it's a weird episode to sort of review, to be honest, because I can't tell you anything about the episode that I particularly liked, like, in terms of, like, the episode as a whole. But there's so much that you find out from it, like, it adds to the series, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly right, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't pick this out and say, watch this episode, guys, it's a really good episode. But if you were watching all the mythology episodes, I'd say this one is really important, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's weird, it's weird.
And it's also like, if you was to say to me, sum up the plot of this episode in one sentence, I'm like, there wasn't really one. Like, there's not really much of it. I couldn't tell you what the plot exactly was. And again, it doesn't help that it's only half of the episode.
Yeah,
it's two-parter.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I really, all I know is I really enjoyed the episode, and I couldn't wait. I really want to watch the next one now. So.
Luke's production notes.
The original script featured various flashback sequences with actors Peter Donat, William B. Davis, and Veronica Cartwright, all appearing around 20 to 30 years younger. The production crew applied various types of makeup on the actors to de-age them. However, the writers eventually came to the conclusion that it just didn't work, so they cut most of the storyline, which ultimately led to the creation of a whole new direction in which the cigarette-smoking man provided a monologue explaining the history of the project instead. I like that, though. They just had this like really bold vision, and they went, "Nah, just sit down and explain the lot."
I think it works.
Yeah,
I like it, to be honest. I think it makes him look more vulnerable, which I think is an interesting part of his character.
Yeah.
The fact that he's spilling his secrets out
and
shows how much he needs Fowley. Do you know what I mean?
And essentially begging for somebody's help. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which really makes it for an interesting sort of what position are we finding these characters in?
Yeah, definitely. The scene in which Jeffrey Spender visits his mother, Cassandra Spender, was shot in Los Angeles. Those members of the X-Files crew who had moved with the show from Vancouver to Los Angeles still had problems adjusting to the changes when filming an episode. They were forced to adjust to changes in the sunlight, since Vancouver had this dark and grey feel compared to California's sunny atmosphere. Kim Manners felt it was difficult to get used to the new filming area.
At least the company's happy, right?
That's all that matters, eh, guys?
That's all that matters.
I love every week now. There's a new note going, "Oh, it's in Los Angeles and they struggled," and it's like, there's a strange like, why did they do this? Well, I mean, apart from to appease the star.
Yeah, every time you tell me like a stat like that, like, oh, the director wasn't happy with the LA move, oh, the production design, oh, the props, oh, blah, 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 this, and this. I always imagine, like Kim Manners working really hard, trying to figure things out, looking over, and then, you know, that scene in Humbug, where, like, Mulder's just outside the caravan. Standing there. I always imagine Kim Manners just looking over and just seeing Duchovny just stood there.
Just loving life.
Loving life. Some guys have it all.
This episode marks the first time new stock footage was used for the J. Edgar Hoover building in over 5 years. I didn't notice it, I gotta be honest. Then again, it's kind of like if they're using stock footage, it's gonna look old to us, you know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah.
So we just go, yeah, it's just footage, whatever. And finally, the second elder's house was in a relatively expensive neighborhood in Los Angeles. Manners stated he was very nervous while filming the scene because the crew needed to create a fire inside the house, which was done by Kelly Kirby and Bobby Calvert. When the faceless alien attacked the second elder, a special effects crew member can be seen behind a window running his rig, according to Manners. So if you fancy a rewatch.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to watch that now. I want to see it.
See some, what's it called now? Movie bloopers and stuff like that, where they...
Yeah. I love seeing that, like, where you see, like, there's, like, in Gladiator, there's, like, a guy in jeans in the background or something like that, isn't there?
There's one bit where the chariot flips over and you can see the gas canister that flipped it over underneath it and stuff like that. There's loads. There used to be, like, a TV show on, like, BBC 3 or something like that, where they used to just go through all these mistakes. It's just like, some of them are like, oh, that's interesting, and some of them are just like, oh, come on, who cares?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for production notes. So, Critic Files.
It stinks.
Welcome to the Critic Files.
What would you rate this episode?
This is so difficult. I'm gonna go 8. I'm gonna go based on, because I can't really base it on much else, I'm gonna go based on like how much it grabbed my attention when I was watching it.
Yeah.
And it really did. I'm gonna go 8 with like the proviso that I can change my opinion after the next episode.
Fair enough, yeah. I give it an 8.5. So yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. But again, it's one of them that it's like, I can't give it any more because I loved it. Don't know if I'd ever watch it again unless I was doing a complete mythology rewatch.
Yeah, it's not a single fire episode. Yeah, you just go watch.
Exactly. Even like if the next episode is outstanding, I don't know how much I'd really want to see this one again. But who knows? Maybe the two of them together is like the greatest episode ever. We'll see. But from 2,996 votes on what's the website? IMDb. I'm forgetting now. It got an 8.7, so fairly high up, I'd say.
But again, we don't know how much that is influenced by the second episode,
Exactly,
so we'll wait. We'll hold off on giving judgments.
And also, it received an Emmy for outstanding makeup for a series. Which, to be fair, the mask, the faceless man, and the pulling the skin off, I can agree.
Yeah, for sure. It was good effect. And to be fair, even like the initial surgery scene was really good.
Yeah,
I thought good practical effects.
Mm-hmm. But that's everything from us this week. So if you want to get in touch with the show, I'm definitely hosting. Actually, you should probably do this wrap up because I always steal yours, don't I?
No, it's fine. I've got to do it now. It's been so long since I got to do one.
If you want to get in touch with the show, you can tweet us, you can email us. All of the links are below in the production notes.
In the shit notes.
I was going to say in the show. I was going to say
we're ending off the show, and you're just going to slag us off.
I was going to say in the show notes, and then my brain was like, "No, they're production notes," and I was like, "That's not right either." They're underneath
the bio.
Yeah, just read underneath.
Not the shit production notes.
Shit production. I'm the one who's writing them, so I can critique myself.
Yeah, have some confidence in yourself, man.
It says a lot, really.
I will shout out because I don't necessarily read podcast bios when I'm listening to podcasts that I listen to. But I'll give credit where it's due. And I would advise anyone out there who doesn't read the bios to read through the bios of this season because you've made me laugh a lot on some of the bios for this season. I love the you're doing songs now. I love how you're challenging yourself.
Honestly,
you didn't put this past me at all. You just decided to do this.
It was a mistake, honestly, because there's one point where I'm like going, what kind of song can I get for SR819? So I'm there typing in nano machines, though. What else? Small machines. And then that's when I came up with like...
You know what? The small details, I love the bios. And so I think I've got nothing to do with them. That is all yours. And I think everyone should appreciate them because they are very funny.
Well, thank you very much. Hopefully, if you get a laugh over it, it's all worthwhile. So, but that's everything from us this week. Next week, we're tackling an episode which might completely skewer our fan theory at the moment, entitled One Son. So
they've literally titled the episode exactly what we didn't want it to be titled.
Yeah, it's the one thing we didn't want. But hey, we'll find out. Is it one son or is it a jab? Or what if one of the sons dies so there's only one son left?
Mulder dies.
I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. I'm saying maybe. But anyway, we'll find out next week on Most Unwanted, an X-Files podcast. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.